And this play by Vinic, tremendous. It was cool. But Paraguay, what's happening to them right now? Now, Germany, I think the same thing will happen as with Brazil and Japan, meaning Germany is going to come back as well. When you're watching this, you'll tell me, Abril, in the end, it didn't happen. Or if it did, I don't know. I didn't want to wait any longer to make this video. Next time, we'll discuss what happened with the German team. But it's really shocking to be losing 1-0 to Paraguay at halftime, especially since Paraguay is a team that started off losing 4-1. In the first match, they were thrashed by the United States. I never thought after the match against Turkey, where they scored in the first minute, but then spent the whole game defending, that we would be here in this round of 32. Well, Brazil came out more or less unscathed from something that could have been, well, deadly in that country. Anyone who knows a little bit Brazil, the passion of Brazilians for soccer and how the fans feel about their national team in recent years, since it's been a long time since they've been in the spotlight. Imagine the criticism Ancelotti would have received, really, really, really. Luckily for Vinicius, he's new because he's just emerging, right? Especially with that play we're about to talk about. But it would have been tremendous, and yet he got through that terrible ordeal. Japan often loses tragically in World Cups, but once they break that curse, they've made notable progress in the past 3 tournaments, including this one. I believe they'll go far, but they still face a barrier. I was gonna say the round of 16, right? The round of 16 in previous World Cups. And now the barrier has moved to the round of 32. Because they've put this new stage there, well, just like FIFA wanted, right? An even longer and tougher World Cup. Because, of course, today we're going to see a Morocco versus Netherlands match. Man, and you think, hey, it's impossible, right? I mean, Holland, it's impossible that 2 teams as good as those who could go much further, that one of them has to be eliminated today. Well, like I said, Brazil had a really tough time. But Vinicius made this amazing play, which was really close to ending in a goal. Today, Vinicius didn't score. Casemiro scored the first one, the equalizer, and then Martinelli, the one who was playing terribly. And yet, look at that. Look, they received, well, I was checking social media and all the criticism was aimed at Martinelli and Casemiro, the ones who scored both goals. And people are saying some harsh things about Casemiro. Yes, he's not the same as before, of course. But look, he showed up to score the equalizer. Well, the play by Vinny starts, it's absolutely crazy. I can't show the whole thing here, but anyway, it starts with a nutmeg he does coming from a ball that, well, it's a nutmeg with control, or control with a nutmeg, right? Look here, bam, bam, the nutmeg he pulls off against the Japanese player, and then, well, a very typical Vinny play, right? Getting away from his marker there after that dribble, and for me, it's one of the best plays we've seen so far in the World Cup. Hendrick was around there too. Even though the pass was difficult for his teammate Vinicius, it's not like it's hard for Vinicius to end up going for it on his own, right? But in this case, he did it really well. Look at how, well, you've already seen the play there, right? I can't really show it much more than that. He faked going inside, then moved outside, and that last cut he made, he faked his usual shot and then went outside. And the move ends with a shot off the outside of his foot, placing it, and well, he didn't place it that precisely. He could have placed it a little wider, but it was very hard. He had the Japanese defender right on him, and Suzuki, the Japanese goalkeeper, barely deflected it, and the ball ended up hitting the post. Fantastic play by Vinicius, who is proving himself in this World Cup. And what a way to do it, by the way. And Brazil can breathe easy, and Ancelotti can breathe easy. Of course, what are they going to tell Ancelotti? What are they going to tell Ancelotti about comebacks, right? And when they showed him later, he looked very calm after Martinelli's goal, and you think, man, where do you hide those nerves? But, well, we've seen him make that gesture of calm down, when Rodrigo scored that goal against City in the 14th, when we all went crazy, right? Ancelotti was like, calm down. There were many times he was just blowing on his coffee anyway. That's how he is. I'm really happy for him, because it would have been terrible if Brazil had gone out in the round of 16 and Ancelotti, well, they signed him for this. They signed him to win a World Cup with Brazil again. Well, it's been a day full of news about Real Madrid. First of all, the statement about Nico Paz from Real Madrid, it's now official. Careful, because the statement has some very interesting things in its wording, mainly highlighting that it was the player's decision. And Madrid has a unilateral buy option for next year, it says. So Real Madrid, Como, and Nico Paz have reached an agreement for the player to stay next season, 2027 with the Italian team. This agreement, which has been made at the request of the player himself, also states that Real Madrid keeps a unilateral buyback option for the federative rights of Nico Paz for the 26, 27, and 28 seasons. There's no mention here of the amounts, but what was discussed at the time was that Como buys him for 60 million and Madrid can buy him back for 80. That is, it would cost Real Madrid 20 next year. This means that, well, this year they could buy him back for 10, next year they buy him back for 20. You fulfill the player's wish who wanted to stay one more year at Como because, well, they earned qualification for 20. You fulfill the wish of the player who wanted to stay one more year. And here, nos han ganado la clasificación para Champions. Most importantly, he knew he wouldn't be a starter at Madrid, or at least that's how he felt. And that's when I remember the conversation I had the other day with Alberto Pereiro here in Dallas, where he said he's shown that he doesn't want to join Real Madrid right now. I understand that's exactly why. He sees himself as a substitute. Because if it's because he doesn't identify with it, it's not his dream, it's not what he wants, then we're talking about an Odegaard situation, and I don't think that's the case. I really don't. I think the kid, probably also advised by others, is told, hey, Madrid just signed Bernardo Silva. They have problems in midfield, but look, Mourinho is coming. I don't know. It looks like you're not going to play. The kid says he wants to play all 90 minutes of every match as a guaranteed starter, likely influenced by a Cesc, and he's entitled to feel that way. Like, you're going to be essential for me, and so on, right? I insist, I don't see anything wrong with it. But yes, indeed, next year the kid can be brought back with a much clearer picture. If he stands out again at Como, hey, you can say, hey, that's it, especially because there will only be that opportunity. There will only be that one. Let me know in the comments what you think. There was also talk today. Well, I was going to say that what's his name, Nico Paz. Let's see if I haven't lost the page. Nico Paz has also spoken. He has talked, right? And he released in another pardon the redundancy statement at the same time that Real Madrid released theirs, the following. Well, like players usually do on social media, right? After many weeks of thinking it over, I have decided that the best option for my career right now is to stay at Como for another year, the club that gave me the opportunity to grow and become the player I am today. I personally believe that this is the best decision, both for me and for Real Madrid. Since this is a very important year at this stage of my career and a unique opportunity to keep growing. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. As a footballer, and to prepare myself in the best way for the future. And I was hesitating because, of course, what they've told us here is that Como buys him and Madrid has a buyback option. They keep mentioning another year. We'll find out soon, because here, sorry, the screen wasn't being shared. Sorry. We'll find out soon, because there's something here that just doesn't add up for me. Como buys him for 60 million, but for how many years? Because they're only talking about one more year. Has this sale been extended? Because it was a sale for 50% of the player's rights. I'm not sure. We'll likely learn more in the coming months. The point is, and what matters to us beyond the numbers, is that the kid can come to Real Madrid next year with that buyback option from the White Club. Today, there's been a lot of talk about this man, Rodri. Rodri, what? Are they throwing out stats over there? We're watching Rodri play, and it's concerning for Spain since he's not at his best. I should mention this because some people might comment, didn't you say Madrid was looking to sign him? About Riquelme with Rodri, well, with what I'm seeing, and it doesn't sit right with me. For me, honestly, I have no problem admitting it. You know how I am. Those of you who've been following me on the channel for a long time know what I'm like. I have no problem at all with changing my mind about anything. I don't feel the same about Rodri now unless he plays much better in the next match and finishes the World Cup strongly. I don't think the same today as I did a few weeks ago. Of course, I thought Rodri had recovered well. Some worrying things are coming up. First, the issue with number 4. Most of Rodri's passes were to progress up the field in the 2026 World Cup. 14 out of 350 total passes, the rest were sideways. You might say it's a bit unfair when you see what other midfielders are doing, like Vitinha, for example. Well, but is it consistent with the football Spain is playing? Also, Spain isn't playing very well. The midfield is very horizontal, and for Pedri and his teammate, it's the same story. But of course, a team changes through a midfielder. If Rodri were playing better, Spain would play better. I have no doubt. The same goes for Pedri too. That's why Luis de la Fuente can't find the third piece there. In the first match, it was Fabian. In the second, it was Dani Olmo. By the way, I would stick with Olmo. He's more dangerous. Spain attacks more directly with Olmo. In the third match, it was Mikel Merino, right? But Rodri is the engine there, and he's not doing well. He's not doing well. And then there was another thing that was quite worrying. Well, there are some who weren't worried because it confirms what they were already saying. I already told you, right? But in this case, I don't mind admitting I was wrong. And if this is true, what they're saying in England, that Rodri would, I mean, he would have surgery after the World Cup for a mysterious injury that they say is his hip, that he's not completely comfortable with his hip. It would make sense because a torn ACL totally changes the way you step. What you were before, it changes you, and it can cause other problems. And it wouldn't be the first case, not the first nor the last case, not by a long shot, because there have been many soccer players who have actually changed the way they play, the way they step, and the way they move after an ACL injury, right? And it could be, if this is true, which I don't want to be true, nobody wants a soccer player to go through this ordeal, right? After suffering an ACL injury, having to go through this, many people dislike Rodri and are happy about it, but that's their problem. May God bless them. But not with him or with any player, right? But now, yes, um, not just because of this news, but seeing how Rodri is playing now, honestly, I'm glad we didn't sign him. Right now, maybe in 2 weeks, the guy steps up and he's like Busquets in the 2010 World Cup, who started playing really badly and ended up playing really well. Maybe, maybe. And that's when Vicente del Bosque said, if I were a footballer again, I'd want to be like Busquets. Hey, from that moment on, he had an amazing World Cup. The first match against Switzerland, he didn't play well. But of course, Rodri has already played 3 matches. He's played every minute. Tudimendi hasn't played a single one, and he hasn't played well. So, well, there are a lot of Madrid fans out there saying, thank goodness, and well, giving a hard time to the candidate back in the day, Riquelme, who had already signed him. He had already signed him. Anyway, let's talk about Madrid and Venezuela. What the club has done is beautiful. My club is always there and always ahead of others, right? The Real Madrid Foundation is launching a fundraising campaign. Not only does it give 1 million, but it also has a campaign. It starts a fundraising campaign in collaboration with the Red Cross, like they did for the Dina in Valencia and so on, aimed at supporting those affected by the cold earthquakes in Venezuela. Real Madrid has decided to support this campaign with a donation of 1 million. As part of that campaign, 1 million comes from Madrid and another from Florentino Perez. Amazing. And in this sense, Madrid is always at the forefront. And the latest thing that's been talked about in the last few hours is this bombshell in basketball. If you follow basketball closely, please write here and tell me about this man, about Pedro Martinez. Not Josemi Rodriguez Sierra, but that journalist who looks like him, which I find funny. This one who,
Que se parece mucho, me hace mucha gracia.
the one who talks like this because I don't know how many, I don't know what, right? Well, Pedro Martinez is the coach of Valencia Basket, who made Valencia Basket the champion in this final against Barca in the Basketball League. And of course, would Madrid be firing Escariolo? Who is? Or in theory, had Madrid given confidence after finishing, hey, second in the EuroLeague with the semi-final that we lost? Terrible after all those injuries, because I'm convinced that Madrid would have won the cup, the European basketball title, if we hadn't had so much bad luck. But a very poor performance, getting knocked out right at the start in the Spanish basketball league, right? And of course, Real Madrid wouldn't have forgiven that. At first, sure, there was trust, but then they would be firing Escariolo and hiring this guy who, well, they say it's already a done deal. He'll sign for 3 seasons, and Madrid will pay the 1 million release clause to Valencia Basket. Pedro's salary will rise to 1.2 million net. Tomorrow, Escariolo will be notified of his departure, and the termination of the Italian coach's contract will still be pending. I feel sorry, but I don't know if this excites me or not because I don't know this man. I mean, I know he's done a great job with Valencia Basket and all, but I don't know him very well. I see here some very exaggerated reactions, both in favor and against. Tell me in the comments what you think. They also call him anti-Real Madrid and similar things. I don't know. Tell me what you think, because this has caused a huge stir. Hope everything goes well for you. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel, comment, share, hype up the video, please. And I'll see you in the next one, where we'll talk about what's going on with Germany, who right now have 45 minutes ahead to see if they can turn this around. And if not, it's going to be absolute drama in the mine shaft. Goodbye.